is audible.
DK Audio presents the Sherlock Holmes book, read by Dominic Thorburn. Introduction. Think of the silhouette, the deer-stalker, the Roman nose, the pipe. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes is, quite simply, the most famous figure in all of crime fiction. And what's more, he is one of the most recognizable fictional characters in the Western world, and beyond. And although he owes something to his literary predecessors in the detective fiction genre, Sherlock Holmes is the template for virtually every fictional detective that has followed him. Even those who did not emulate him were obliged to do something markedly different, so seismic was his impact. The brilliant, impatient master of deductive reasoning, who shared rooms at 221B Baker Street with his faithful chronicler, Dr. John H. Watson, is as popular today as when the young and ambitious author Conan Doyle created him. Without doubt, Sherlock Holmes is a figure for the ages, and this book is a celebration of the detective in all his myriad facets. Early inspirations. When the American writer Edgar Allan Poe wrote about a proto-Holmes protagonist, see Auguste Dupin, in a series of stories that virtually forged the detective fiction format, he had his rather remote sleuth utilizing observation, logic, and lateral thinking, all the while demonstrating his skill to an awestruck, unnamed narrator. The Holmes formula, in fact, in embryo. Conan Doyle was a close reader of such Poe stories as The Murder in the Rue Morgue, and he borrowed a variety of notions from Dupin and developed them far beyond anything Poe had ever dreamt of. Influenced also by his charismatic tutor at Edinburgh University, Dr. Joseph Bell, Conan Doyle forged an imperishable canon of work over some 40 years, with his stories and novels about the great detective, each brimming with atmosphere and invention. Conan Doyle inspired a reading public so obsessed with Holmes that the writer's attempt to kill off the character he had grown tired of, in the short story The Final Problem, was met with national outrage. No man has brought the same amount of study and of natural talent to the detection of crime which I have done. Sherlock Holmes, A Study in Scarlet, 1887. Writer at work. Conan Doyle's own life was often as remarkable as anything to be found in his more bizarre fiction, particularly in his later years, when his interest in spiritualism increasingly came to the fore. His feelings towards the character he had created in Sherlock Holmes were famously mixed. A well-known Punch cartoon of the day showed the author chained to the great detective, and Conan Doyle often expressed his frustrated wish to be remembered for something other than his famous protagonist. But it was Sherlock Holmes, rather than the author's own preferred historical fiction, that made Conan Doyle one of the most celebrated popular writers of the age. The famous duo. Apart from the mesmerizing genius of his detective, Conan Doyle's most durable achievement within the Sherlock Holmes stories and novels was the relationship he established between the logical sleuth and his colleague Watson, the latter a surrogate for the reader, which the writer finessed into something immensely satisfying. Much of the pleasure of the stories and novels may be found in the interaction between Holmes and Watson as much as from the jaw-dropping revelations of the plots. Holmes on the page. The Sherlock Holmes book examines not just the complete canonical collection of 56 short stories and the 4 memorable novels, the most famous of which, of course, is The Hound of the Baskervilles, but applies the kind of forensic attention to all things Holmesian that the sleuth himself utilized in all his cases, including the life and character of his creator, along with Conan Doyle's non-Holmes work. Beyond the canon. While the original canon of Holmes stories and novels remains the key element in the detective's popularity, it is the infinite and continuing flexibility of Holmes and Watson as characters that has rendered them relevant and ripe for multiple reinterpretations even today, in a manner that such Holmes imitators as Agatha Christie's Hercule Poirot could not begin to rival. One reason for the longevity of the character is his immensely flexible appeal when adapted for drama, on stage, film and television. Actors love to take up the magnifying glass, pipe and violin and surround themselves with the cosy clutter of 221B Baker Street.